what he can bring to the table, okay, as opposed to who he is, to his core, to his soul, and as a man. All right. So now let's go back to this Queen of Cups, to the mother wounds. Okay. I am what? I'm a millennial. Okay. So which makes my parents boomers. All right. And unfortunately, boomer parents and many Gen X moms, okay, were trained to believe that they were saints, above criticism, that a child's pain was disrespect, that accountability was betrayal, okay, and that emotional needs were rebellion, okay. The way I was taught, the way my parents was taught, you don't question your mama, okay, because there's always this thing that, well, she did the best she could. Sometimes maybe, but then sometimes no, okay. Even as adults, I am in my late 40s, you guys know this, mid 40s, okay. um and I love my parents to death, but my mama still don't want to hear about anything she did wrong, or any mistake she might have made. You know why? Because her mother didn't. Okay, you didn't question them. You still don't question them. Okay, and so the issue becomes, listen, when you got boys raised in an environment like this, okay, what they learn to do is disconnect emotion from identity. Okay, they abandon their inner child. I know so many men, okay, who they can talk about what they did as little boys. They can talk about the punishment and all of that, okay. And like, for instance, I dated a guy once who, when he acted up in church, his mama would slap him in the back of the head in front of people. Okay, and the very first time I heard that story, I thought that was just like mean, and he said, no, that's all right, it made a man out of me. I'm not going to deny his claim in that it made a man out of him, okay, but that's shameful. It also embarrassed him, and that's what he's not, and that's what he didn't want to say. That's embarrassing, okay. And when I say they disconnect from emotional, they disconnect emotion from identity, okay, embarrassing a child like that in front of people, some of you parents, shaving your kids bald and putting them on the internet, okay, that's striking them in their identity, okay, and they end up with wounds that they bury, that they make fun out of, that they say, nah, that's okay, it made a man out of me, okay. I don't know, maybe from my point of view, because maybe there's something I'm missing because I'm a woman, but I have a son, and I tell you what, I would never shave his damn head, okay, to make an example out of him for the doggone world to see. I would never pop him on the back of the neck or upside the head in front of people, okay. These young boys, they grow up, and I don't care what none of y'all say, I'm a woman, all right, and I know what the hell I'm talking about, okay. Little boys are raised in this environment, they grow up to resent women, okay. They fear intimacy, okay. They replace nurturing with ego, okay, because they don't trust anything else, okay. At the same time, though, here's the thing. Parents shape the pattern, you guys, okay, but we choose whether or not to continue it, okay. When, again, there is no healing when this masculine's life starts out this way, okay. And like I said, there's no healing, there's no guidance, okay. There's and the men that are in these masculines' lives, whether it's the fathers, the grandfathers, the uncles, or whatever the case, because they were most likely raised the same way, so nobody taught them any better. If anything, they taught them that crying and telling your mama she was wrong is rebellious, and you're wrong for that, and and when you die, you're gonna go to hell. Okay, I'm deep south. That's exactly what they tell us. Okay, what happens is, like I said, this starts out with a foundational collapse. Okay, so what we get is wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, they just stop crying about it. Okay, they get a moment of relief. Okay, there is no healing, no grounding. So what you get is an incomplete cycle. Wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, and as far as this goes, this archetype goes, the only thing that's ever going to change, fellas, is her face. You're going to choose the exact same things, the exact same woman, the exact same pattern over and over and over again until you guys choose differently. Okay. I realized a long time ago, though, that you guys don't even really understand, okay, that you've been hurt, that you've been suffering from emotional abuse. And the very first time you hear the words, you run in the opposite direction because you think it makes you a punk, okay? Because typically, again, what this archetype does is that, see, the embarrassment that he was feeling, because like I said, to me, men don't break because of their actions. They break because of their shame, okay? So what you're going to do is end up running back to the fellas. You're going to run back to the same squad, to the same to the same crew, because birds of a feather, right? Okay, all of you guys went through the same thing. Okay, that's what you trust. Okay, you trust your circle, you trust your squad. Deep down, you guys are never going to trust women. And I'm sorry, moms, it starts with us. I'm a woman, I can say it. Okay, it starts with us. All right, and the part about, well, his daddy could have done more. Well, the daddy ain't in this damn spread. I'm talking about us, okay? Because you ain't never going to be judged by somebody else's actions. You will be judged by your own. Judgment comes, okay? And it is your actions that you will be held accountable for, not the father who's not there, okay? Motherhood wounds are serious, okay? And there's one, I have a son, okay? And I know how much that child loves me, okay? And because you also have some men who, they want to speak up, they know they need to speak up, okay? And then you have some women that'll just go into the crying jag, okay? And that'll stop them dead cold in their tracks, okay? Because no child anywhere, Maddox would not want to hurt me for nothing in this world, okay? And if I start crying in front of him, what do you think he's going to do? He's just going to stop talking. And eventually what I'm doing is setting my son up, eventually, okay, to never want to talk to me about a damn thing in his life. To never know what's going on. And moms, then what do? Then we get mad because of that. Well, you don't tell me nothing. Okay, mother wound. Okay, but again, fellas, like I said, parents create the pattern, but we get to choose whether or not we're going to continue it, because we all do get to a point, no matter how messed up we were, no matter what we didn't get growing up, okay, it does get to a point where somebody's going to tell you, and everybody feels the same way. Listen, you can't keep blaming your mama for everything. You can't keep blaming your daddy for everything. You can't keep blaming who was and wasn't there, okay? Anyway, that just really hit my heart, okay? And this is just what spirit gave me, all right? So anybody want to know more? You know what, you guys, I want to say this really quick too. I know my videos tend to be, I'm really learning about the social media thing, okay? I think I told you guys this before. I am of the generation of Windows, okay? Windows 95 and 98, and things like that, where you had to go in, programs and find things and kind of, troubleshoot and, think, okay? Apps are a lot different than what I what I grew up with, okay? And so I understand, with these algorithms, with social media and everything, okay, because everybody has ADHD these days, so longer videos get less play because people have shorter attention spans. You guys, I love y'all so much. I try to keep my videos as short as possible. When they're longer videos, I always do 3-minute clips. I understand social media says do them in like 2 minutes or less, but you guys, listen, I'm a healer, okay? All right, and this is not DoorDash, okay? There is no such thing as welcome to McDonald's, would you like a healing Happy Meal, okay? Healing takes time, and so, and I'm a very thorough person. For those of y'all who followed me, who caught some of my lies, which I'll get more into that later, about when I'll be going back live and things like that, you know. Um, but you know, I'm a very thorough person. I really like to help people, okay? And healing takes time, okay? Like I said, this you know, this ain't healing Happy Meal and you get a pair of grit socks with it, okay? So that's why sometimes I tend to drone on a little, you know, a little more than most people, okay? Because you know, we're all hurting, okay? And it takes time, you know, for like a lot of the wounds we have, a lot of people don't even know that they have, okay? And so this myth about, you know, a lot of people have about, you know, talking to therapists and, you know, it's like an old friend or or it's so taboo, you know, or I feel better after a 15-minute conversation. No such thing. No such thing. Okay, 15 minutes doesn't even wake up the dog on surface. Okay, and you know